Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Hamilton and I'm again here in my home art room. Today we're going to be starting our first art activity, drawing activity, and this is a assignment that I usually do with kindergarten during fourth quarter for fun. However, it's great for all ages, and that is we're going to be drawing our own type of carrier truck. So some of you might be wondering, what is a carrier truck? Well, think about the words first off, carrier, truck. So it's a truck that carries something. So for instance, when you go into a grocery store, or maybe you go into a store and buy maybe a toy, maybe buy toilet paper, oftentimes those things come to the store because a carrier truck brought it. And so I thought it'd be a really fun art lesson or drawing lesson to do a carrier truck together. There is a link below in the detail section that there's a video that talks about the different names of different types of carrier trucks, what they're called, and shows you some video on what a carrier truck looks like and some basic facts. I would suggest going and taking a little peek at that video because it's kind of like a sing-along and it's really fun. Other than that, we're going to turn the camera around and we're going to get drawing. All right, I'll see you in a moment. All right, we're ready to draw. So a couple things we need to create our carrier trucks. First off, I like to use markers for this drawing, but it's really your choice. If you want to use crayons or colored pencils or even just a regular pencil, that is perfectly fine. But markers are probably my favorite choice for this. You also want a blank sheet of paper. It could be just copy paper, or it could be from your little sketch pad or notepad. Whatever works, or wherever you want to create your art is perfectly fine. So when you have a piece of paper, you want to make sure it's turned what I call horizontal hot dog, which means that it is wide across. This is also called the landscape view. So, but I like to call it horizontal hot dog because it's kind of fun to remember. For instance, if you were to imagine you're drawing a hot dog, well, you would need the piece of paper to be nice and wide. So that's why we turn it this way. Also, couple other things. I have some drawing sheets, how to draw sheets. These are actually I got this lesson from an Ed Imberly book, which I absolutely love. He creates all these how to draw books, and I scanned these and I will be adding a link to these pictures. So if you want to print them out and use them as a guide, you're more than welcome to. And a couple examples of the Ed Imberly books. Here are two. One is the Trucks and Trains, which is where I got this idea from. And one of the books that my students absolutely love, because I have a whole bunch of Ed Imberly books in my free draw drawer, is The Maker World. If you ever get a chance to order this, the kids love it. It's one of their favorites, young and old. I even enjoy flipping through these books and seeing what little drawings he has in here. So if you ever get a chance, go ahead and do that. I will also be showing you some more examples when we get a little further along in the drawing to kind of help everybody get a few ideas of what their truck might carry. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the colors we're going to use. We are going to start with the bottom of our truck and the cab of our truck, which is where our driver is. However, we want to make sure that that the truck doesn't blend into our background. So I'm going to say we're going to stay away from the green and blue for a little bit because this might end up as our background colors. We don't want our truck to blend into our background. And then black, leave the black for last. This is going to be our wheels and some of our details. So we want to leave this for last. And gray, I would suggest holding off on gray as well. It might end up being our road color. So I'm going to put that to the side as well. The next thing you want to do is you want to pick a color. This color is going to be underneath the main part of the truck. So it's not as important. So if you want your truck to be red, don't use the red yet. Use it in just a minute, okay? So I'm going to use an orange for the under piece of our truck, okay? I'm going to open up that orange. Remember the cap, we want to put it on the back of our marker so we don't lose it. We are going to be using shapes and lines to build this truck. So the first line we're going to create is a horizontal line. A horizontal line goes left and right. So we're going to look for halfway. We're going to go a little lower than halfway. Okay. We want lots of space at the top for our cab and for what our truck is going to be carrying. And then we're going to draw a nice long horizontal line. Now, before you start drawing, okay, some things to think about because we're using markers, unless you're using a pencil, of course. Markers cannot be erased. However, I don't want you to worry because the saying is if we mess it up, we just dress it up. So even if you don't completely draw that line perfect, don't worry, you can just draw right over it and hide it and dress it up. So the first thing we're going to do a nice straight horizontal line, nice and long. So I'm going to draw. Now, when you're drawing nice straight lines, you want to try and draw with your arm and not so much with just your fingers. Okay. Now I'm going to stop here. Uh-oh. Think that's long enough? I think that could be a little longer. This would be a very small truck if I only drew the line this long. So I'm going to dress it up and I'm going to make this line a little longer. Okay. Then I'm going to bring it down with 2 vertical lines. Vertical lines go up and down. And we're going to be creating a nice long rectangle. So we're using our lines to build that rectangle. So I'm going to close the bottom to finish and make that rectangle shape. This is a horizontal rectangle. All right, after you're done, you're going to just quickly fill it in. It does not have to be perfectly colored or solid. Just a quick little fill is fine. Again, if you need some time in between steps, please, you can just pause the video. It's perfectly fine. All right. Now you notice I left a little space on the right and left. That's fine. It's just going to show a little more of my background. Okay. All right. I'm going to close up this marker. We are now ready to pick up the color we're going to use for our truck. So this color is what we're going to be using the most. So you want to make sure you choose wisely. Okay. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start building the cat. Well, actually, we're going to add one more long rectangle on top of this first one. So I'm going to create 2 more vertical lines with my red. And then I'm going to close it by drawing a line across, making another rectangle. I'm going to quickly fill it in. Now, if you want, you can trace first and then fill. Does not have to be perfectly filled. Next thing I'm going to do is we're going to start building that cab. We're going to make another rectangle. This is going to be a little bit of a taller rectangle. So I'm going to bring up and make another vertical line, nice, a little taller this time. And then our back of our cab, this is going to be the front of our cab where our engine's going to sit. The back of our cab, we want to go almost halfway, okay? Almost halfway, just a little shorter than halfway. And I'm going to go up, making a line that's the same height as my first one. And I'm going to close it, closing that rectangle. And then I'm going to add a little headlight. This is where the light shines when it's dark and we need to see the road. Okay. Next thing we're going to do where the top of the cab where our driver's going to sit. So I'm going to start halfway in the middle of our rectangle. I'm going to draw another tall vertical line. I'm going to go to the back of the cab. Okay, that's closest to the space here, and draw another vertical line with the equal height. I'm going to close it at the top. Okay, this is where our driver is going to sit. We're going to add another vertical line for the back of the cab. So that's back here. This is going to be solid at some point, and this is going to be our glass. And then another horizontal line at the top for the roof of our cab. And then we're going to do a little filling. Now the great thing about drawing with the color we're filling with, it all blends in. Completely all blends in. So it all looks like one shape. Again, doesn't have to be perfectly solid. I'm going to turn my paper this way. Can do a little trace. So accidentally cover up my headlight. And because that sort of base rectangle is the same color as my as my cab, it all blends in. Okay, when you're done, you're going to close up the red. And it's time for some black. So pull over the black. We're going to add a few details. First thing we're going to draw is the wheels. And we're going to start, and we're just going to overlap. Now black, I have a saying that black is Incredible Hulk strong. Even the marker color is Incredible Hulk strong. That means it can cover or draw over any other color because it is so dark. So we're going to take this black and we're actually going to overlap the front of our truck and the back of our truck with some with a wheel shape. So I'm going to do a nice circle, not too big, not too small, and I'm going to sort of fill it inward for the tire shape. And you notice, look, covers my color so easily. I'm also going to add some detail in the middle of the truck, some spokes, kind of a fun little detail. And then I'm going to add another tire at the back of the truck and kind of slightly fill it. Add that center wheel, hubcap is what it's called. And if you want it to be, we're going to put another wheel right here because a lot of trucks have two wheels next to each other. It's very common. It helps it with carrying these heavy, all these heavy items that are on the back. Okay, the next thing we're going to draw, we're going to add some details to the side of our truck. So I'm going to go over this front line, which is where our window is. And I'm going to come down just a little bit. And I'm going to add a little line coming across and then coming at a diagonal down, kind of like that. So this would be the door, and a line coming down for the side of the door and a handle. And then we're going to draw a little truck driver. So we're going to start with a little head, just fill it in, it's a silhouette. And the body. And then a wheel. And maybe he's holding on to that wheel. I often like to add a little trucker hat. That's actually a hat that a trucker tends to wear often. So I'm going to do the bill of the hat and the top of the hat. And right now it's a little trucker guy. Well, you most certainly, if you like, you can make it a little trucker girl if you like. This is just add some hair flowing in the wind. All right, looking pretty cute. Now, one thing that trucks tend to have is a horn on the top, okay? So I'm going to draw a little horn. And a truck horn, a carrier truck's horn is very loud. There we go. It's looking pretty good so far. All right, a couple other things I want to add in real quick is I want to grab my red one more time, and I just want to extend this section to add a little back bumper, and I'm going to do a little circle for the light, the back light. And I'm going to grab my black again, and I'm going to add a front bumper like that as well. Looking pretty good. All right, our next thing is we're going to draw what our carrier truck is going to be carrying. All right, in the instruction sheets, there's actually a couple of ideas. We have a toy truck, an ice cream truck, an Acme Movers truck, so a moving truck. I also have a few examples as well. Let me pull that out real quick. I have drawn a fruit truck, a games truck, which I will spread these out in just a moment after we do a little bit of detailing, a cupcake truck, an oil truck, which there are some instructions on, an art supplies truck, of course, Sorry that a few of these, a dump truck, flowers truck, a cakes truck, and a flower truck. But it's up to you. So before we do that, whatever it is you're going to do, we're going to start with this shape right here first. So I'm going to grab, you can use black or you can use the red, the same color as your truck itself. And I'm going to add a vertical line going up from the back. And I'm going to go almost all the way across. We don't want to go too far past our truck. And come all the way down. Okay. And before we get to what we're going to draw in here, and again, I will pull out those examples real quick. Let's do a little bit of our background. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close up this marker, and I'm going to grab my green. And we are going to draw a horizon line first. Now, a horizon line is where the sky meets the ground and makes an imaginary line. It's what tells us this truck is not just floating around in space and that it's actually grounded. So the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to start on one side of our paper. We're going to go about halfway and we're going to draw. Now, we want to make sure that we stop at the truck because our truck is not see-through. We don't want to accidentally draw all the way through our truck. And I'm going to come across, and we would see it through this window a little bit too, because it is a window. And I'm going to draw a little bit in the window and come all the way to the other side, just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to take my green again, and we're going to start building we're going to draw our road. Now we want to do the back of the road, which is behind the truck, and the other side of the road, the front of the road, which is going to be below our truck. So I'm going to draw a line going behind my truck again. Again, stop at the truck, skip the truck, and come to the front. And then our last line, our third line, is going to go under our truck. So I'm going to draw right under my truck. So we are overlapping. So our truck is overlapping the back of our road. All right. Next thing we're going to do, now with the green, if you like, you can fill in this section of the grass and then this section of grass. Now, I like to do up and down lines because it kind of gives it a grassy texture, but it's up to you how you color it in. Just make sure you color this section, all the way across, okay? You can see I did that here and here on this example. Okay. For our road, you could do a gray road. That was one of the reasons why I held off on using gray. And I'm going to use lines that go left and right to quickly fill in this road. Doesn't have to be super duper solid to feel a little bit filled in. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to do a little bit. You guys can fill in the rest. And then our sky, you can take your blue and fill in your sky. But before you do your sky, some of the things that I like to add in as details, of course, is some clouds. And also, I like to sometimes add in some like trees or bushes. A lot of times when you're traveling on a road, you'll see trees and bushes. Okay. And depending on what your truck is, it could be a candy truck. So let's say it's a candy truck. All right. So let's say I'm going to make nice big words that say candy. Nice big words, big letters, candy. And maybe we have some symbol on it. A lot of times we see these symbols or shapes representing, so this is like some chocolate drizzle. I'll fill that in. I'm gonna little chocolate drizzle. Maybe you've got some, I don't know, traditional candy shapes, something like this. I always think of peppermints with the wrapper. Maybe some lollipops. with the lollipop sticks. I don't know. Kind of be creative with this part. It's really up to you. So if I have a candy truck, one of the things that it might be headed towards is a candy factory. So one of the things I could draw in before I fill everything is a little candy factory with little doors and windows. I don't know. Again, be creative. You can draw whatever you like in the background. Remember, it's very small. It's far away because the candy truck is, or the truck is, you know, traveling to that particular item. So a couple things again, I'll show you the examples. So for instance, I have a fruit truck. I didn't really do too much to this background. I kept it pretty simple. Whoop. I kept it pretty simple. And it's just sort of driving down the road, heading to maybe a grocery store, and I did some fruit. Okay. This one, I decided to put a little fence and some little mountains. It says game truck. Maybe it's heading to a game store of some sort. Okay, you can see the little game pieces, symbols on it. And our cupcake trucks, maybe it just left a cupcake factory. Pretty fun, right? Can you imagine a factory just for cupcakes? That would be amazing. Would love to go to that factory. Oil truck. This is coming from wherever you get oil from. Art supplies. I would imagine maybe there is a little, you know, city or art shop that it's heading towards or coming from a art supply factory. Dump truck, and you can see a little house, which you could add little houses, and little, you know, a dirt pile. That's where the dump truck is headed, is to dump some dirt. Flower truck, maybe it's coming from a garden or some kind of place that you would buy plants. Cakes, could be a cake factory. And this flower one, I didn't get too far, but it kind of gives you an idea of what you could do with this. So I am going to spread these out a little bit so you can kind of see. So if you'd like to draw what I've done or come up with your own idea, you most certainly can. All right, guys. Well, it was fun. I would love to see what you make and what you've created. And I would love to see what kind of trucks you've done, and you can make them as fun and as colorful as you like. Please let your parents know that they can share it, either email ArtSonia, or there is a Google Drive folder that I have linked, create a link for, so that you can add it to the folder, and I would love to see what you draw. I'm excited. Or you could also post a picture in the comments, maybe on YouTube or Facebook. So I am at Art with Mrs. Hamilton as a Facebook page, and you're more than welcome to take a little peek with your family. All right, guys, I'll see you next time, which we're going to continue our things that move. So we are going to continue doing something that is sort of moving related. It might be another type of truck, and I will see you the next time. All right, guys, have fun and keep drawing.